Yo, what it is, what it do? Gang, gang, gang. Welcome back to Ransom Reactions. It's your boy Tug.
And your girl Dia.
And as you guys can see by the title below, today we are reacting to Bruce Lee Real Fight at Karate Tournament, 1967. How many years ago was that? 1,000
Like
years.
40,
I'm just joking.
43,
I'm terrible at math. Comment down below.
something like that. I don't know.
So yeah, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay tuned for all of the videos we will post in the future. We're jumping into these Bruce Lee reactions, and I must say, so far I'm so inspired, and it's just cool to see Bruce Lee like in action. Even though who hasn't, I haven't. I'm not gonna lie. So my first time seeing a lot of this stuff. So. And if it's my first time seeing it, it's her first time seeing it. So with that being said, just comment down below what you would like for us to react to next. So let's jump right to this video.
That karate and jiu-jitsu are not the most powerful or the best forms of oriental fighting. What is the most powerful or the best form?
Well, it's bad to say the best, but in my opinion, I think Kung Fu is pretty good.
When you tell us a little bit about Kung Fu.
Well, Kung Fu is originated in China. It is the ancestor of Karate and Jiu-Jitsu. It's more of a complete system, and it's more fluid. By that I mean it's more flowing. There is continuity in movement instead of one movement, two movement, and then stop.
I see. What's the difference between a Kung Fu punch and a karate punch?
Well, a karate punch is like an iron bar, whack. A Kung Fu punch is like an iron chain with an iron ball attached to the end, and it go whang, and it hurt inside.
Wow.
Okay.
Lee has studied
The way he described that, like a continuum of motions instead of one punch, like that's exactly how they fight. They literally don't stop fighting. Like it's a continuance of fighting. Like if they punch, they're gonna continue punching and kicking and
That's so deep.
blocking and doing all that. Like that's a lot.
Shit like this just make you think like, I want to fight now.
Yeah, I be wanting to fight.
This is deep.
I be wanting to fight. It looks fun.
We gonna fight out. We gonna fight after this.
Okay.
a system of Chinese Kung Fu for the past 9 years
Blindfolded.
called Wing Chun, and is considered one of the art's most talented and articulate exponents. His teacher in this art has been an elderly Hong Kong Chinese master by the name of Yip Man. Despite his proficiency in this style of Kung Fu, his study of philosophy has caused him to question. And now he begins to question why most martial artists, Chinese and otherwise, seem more concerned with preserving tradition than with looking more deeply into the matter to penetrate through to the ultimate truth of martial art. Moreover, Lee has begun to develop his own method of Kung Fu, which he describes as non-classical in nature and which takes as its core the principles of economy of motion, simplicity, and directness.
All right, for instance,
That's
you will
deep.
read it in the book, in the magazine and everything, that when somebody grab you, you will first do this, and then this, and then, and then, and then, and then, thousands of steps before you do a single thing. Of course, these kind of magazine would teach you to be feared by your enemies and admired by your friends and everything. But in Kung Fu, it always involves a very fast motion. Like, for instance, a guy grabbing your hand. It's not the idea to do so many steps. Step him right on the instep. Do let go. This is what we mean by simplicity. Same thing in striking and in everything. It has to be based on a very minimum motion so that everything would be directly expressed. One motion, and he's gone. Doing it gracefully, not to go, yelling and jumping all over, but to go,
Both the American and Chinese martial art communities resent his iconoclasm.
That is so cool to see like a lot of black people involved with like Kung Fu and stuff, and especially with the time like in 1967, like Chinese people and black people was going through so much like in that
Prejudice and
in
racism.
that yes in that time frame. So they definitely was some of the people to come together, and you know what I'm saying. So that's so cool to me.
For such a young man to stand up against thousands of years of tradition and venerated authority is considered a direct threat to the status quo and its entrenched power base.
Prior to Bruce's coming to this country, Kung Fu was alive in most all the Chinese community, but there was nothing taught to outsiders, basically. And Bruce came along, and with that basis of trying to create equality amongst all people, regardless of race, he chose to let anybody into his school, regardless of what color or race they were, as long as he knew what was in their heart was good and positive. Why he took them in, and like when he was down in San Francisco, where the Chinese community was much more like being in China, they took exception to it, and he had to fight his way out of it.
In Oakland, he received a challenge from the San Francisco Chinese martial arts community, and the challenge read that Bruce, if he were to be defeated in this challenge, would have to cease teaching Caucasian or non-Chinese students. And the Chinese martial artist came over from San Francisco to Bruce's studio in Oakland, and a very formal challenge.
So in the past, they told Bruce Lee, I'm gonna dumb it down for y'all in black guy terminology. They told Bruce Lee basically, okay, we're gonna challenge you, the Chinese men from San Francisco, and if I beat you, that means stop teaching. You can't teach nobody what the fuck you trying to teach them. So
Right.
I wanna,
Because you don't know nothing.
I
'cause
don't
beat you.
basically. So I want if they had footage of that. That'd be.
But if he
definitely-
won, he had to teach non-Chinese people, so he had to teach white people how to fight.
But Bruce Lee, like, I'm gonna teach whoever the F I want to teach. It's not about, see, America, we always try
But
to
he
tell
wasn't
people
gonna
what the
win.
fuck to
He
do.
wasn't gonna lose anyway.
He wasn't gonna lose.
So
They
he
probably
ain't
thought
gotta
he
worry about
was.
it. Right.
America always be trying to force and like, let this motherfucker teach who he want to.
Took place. I was present there. In fact, I was 8 months pregnant with Brandon, and James Lee was there. And this fight with this Chinese martial artist lasted about 3 minutes. Consisted of a lot of running, where the Chinese martial artist took off and started running around the
Wow.
room. And Bruce was pursuing him before Bruce finally got a hold of him and took him down to the floor and made him give up. And after the challenge ended, with the Chinese martial artist being soundly
He looked like he
defeated
was
and they
walking
all
on
went
water
away,
or something.
Bruce
Bear.
won the right
Wow.
to teach anyone he wanted to.
By February of 1967, Lee has 3 schools operating in Seattle, Oakland, and Los Angeles that teach his own interpretation of Kung Fu, based on his own investigations into the ultimate truth of unarmed combat. However, by now the young man is openly critical of the traditions and limitations he sees as inherent in the martial arts as they're currently being practiced in America. He believes they lack a solid grounding in reality, consisting of rehearsed self-defense routines that are employed in predictable, patternized rhythms. He notes that real combat is spontaneous, not rehearsed, and
Right.
is made up of irregular or broken.
Speaking of that, like when you get taught how to fight, they always say, okay, if somebody do this, you supposed to do this. Like,
How do you know this basic? Right. So I fuck with Bruce Lee. How do you know?
Right.
If you walking with a purse, the man is gonna come grab the purse. The man might come grab her by her fucking hair.
then what? Right.
Bruce Lee, like, okay, I'm gonna teach you. Fuck all of that. If he grabs me right here, nigga, if you touch me, period, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Right. I think that's the difference, yeah, between
That's-
regular fighting and
yeah.
Kung Fu or martial
Definitely.
arts, yeah.
Rhythm that a martial artist cannot anticipate, only respond to.
Boom.
Even the championship karate tournaments of the era are non-contact affairs, settled not on knockouts, but on an accumulation of points awarded for blows that never touch an opponent. A victory is determined by a team of judges who conclude which combatant would probably have hurt the other combatant the most had contact been allowed. Lee has no use for such styles of pseudo-fighting.
Yeah, he's
right.
holding back.
Organized despair and
No
dry land
contact?
swimming.
Wow.
Lee's criticism of the arts can be attributed in part to his background in Hong Kong, which consisted not of non-contact karate tournaments, but full-contact street fights and challenge matches fought on Hong Kong rooftops. When not fighting against proponents of different styles of gun fu on rooftops, Lee had also fought frequently against opponents who had been armed with knives and chains. In such real-world encounters, referees and judges were not necessary. Rather than participating in non-contact karate,
So on his spare time, Bruce Lee was whooping niggas' ass with that approached him with knives and chains. Do you know he probably had fun with that? Like, okay, I teach this. You see how he holding back? Like, I wonder how did that look with him not holding back, fighting off a guy with a knife. Come on now.
I would love to see that.
Oh my goodness.
which he considers little more than glorified games of tag, Lee instead devotes himself to devising a more scientific approach to unarmed combat. His research leads him to the science of Newtonian physics and the techniques and principles of European fencing and Western boxing, where efficiency, not tradition, are the touchstones of both disciplines. Lee's research causes him to understand that the only litmus test of a combative technique's worth is whether or not it can be landed effectively on an opponent. Anything that's ornamental is discarded from his style. He retains only those techniques that he himself has determined to be practical in real self-defense situations. Lee is the first martial artist in North America, if not the world, to have his students don boxing gloves, headgear, and body protectors and spar all out. Nothing is rehearsed, no punches are pulled, and full contact, reality-based martial art is the order of the day. In 1960s,
Yeah, that's tight.
That is what's up.
That was a lot. Like, that's a lot that I never heard of Bruce Lee. I never knew that about Bruce Lee. I don't think I've ever like really paid attention to Bruce Lee before. Like, I never cared to like.
He was before our time.
Yeah, like he's like I said, my dad likes him.
He was
so.
before our time, like Jackie Chan,
Before
Ip Man,
Jackie
and stuff
Chan.
like this. This is forced. You can just simply just get on the internet and just in the YouTube and boom. But back then, to like be in that era and just know Bruce Lee, heard of Bruce Lee, I'm pretty sure it's videos and clips that we just got to dig and search for to find. But man, Bruce Lee, he's definitely like he is a historical person that's very inspirational. He's in movies. You see Kill Bill, they wearing suits and shit like the motherfuckers. Wow.
Cool.
Real quick, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and hit that notification button so you can see all the stuff we're going to post in the future. Comment down below more of Bruce Lee highlights and inspirationals, anything that might help us on our Bruce Lee journey. With that being said, we will see you guys soon.